Bienvenidos at Hunter College. I'm Jennifer Rabb and have the great privilege of being the president of this extraordinary institution of higher learning, and which is very proud to be the home of Centro. I am so glad to see so many familiar faces here this morning, and so proud that Centro is taking its place in this discussion about the financial and humanitarian crisis in Puerto Rico. We were proud last year to inaugurate this conference, and I think all of us wish that today the conversation were on a happier note. But it is most important that we are here, that we are continuing to address the problems and the issues and the crisis in Puerto Rico, and that institutions that all of you represent and that Hunter College and Centro is so proud to convene are here in this room bringing your knowledge and your resources to address the crisis in Puerto Rico. And particular thanks for gathering us all here and for leading us in this intellectual, scholarly, academic, but really applied conversation to problem solving to support Puerto Rico and the people on the island is our leader, Edwin Melendez. And Edwin, I just want to say a special thank you to you for all that you've done at Centro and particularly to bringing us all here today. Thank you, Edwin. It is my great pleasure to have kick off this conference somebody who is a true leader in the Puerto Rican community from her work in sort of a social arena of the parade, but in her much more important support for endeavors in New York, in the Puerto Rican community, and supporting New York's role in assisting the work on the island. Somebody who we are very proud to have as a CUNY trustee, somebody who is a leader in so many fields, and that, of course, is Lorraine Cortez Vasquez. Lorraine was the first female Hispanic Secretary of State in New York. She has been an extraordinary leader in the private commercial sector at Cablevision and most recently at Emblem Health. She is one of the great nonprofit leaders, taking a major role in AARP and La Straza. And she began her career helping to keep the vision alive of one of Hunter's most important alums, Antonia Pantoja. Lorraine was the executive officer of Aspira. And Aspira is, of course, was the heart and soul of Antonia Pantoja, who graduated from Hunter, went on to receive her social work degree, and actually worked with the donors who created it. It made it possible for us to build a school of social work and then move the social work school up to East Harlem. So Lorraine's roots run deep at Hunter College and in the Puerto Rican advocacy community, and she is a fiery advocate at the moment. She is the eyes and the ears of Mayor de Blasio in the Hispanic community in New York City, and she is also the heart of the mayor in thinking through how to support the Puerto Rican community here and on the island. Lorraine likes to be referenced as our favorite Hunter saying, because she is a very proud alum. And so in introducing Lorraine Cortez Vasquez, I tell you that you can always tell a Hunter girl, but you can't tell her much. Please welcome Hunter alum, CUNY trustee, Lorraine Cortez Vasquez.
I'm trying to do this at this great, wonderful age technologically, so bear with me. Buenos dias. It's great. It's great to be here with you. But it's not great why we're here. And so I just want to put that pause. I want to just say that I want to acknowledge El Centro. And what I was going to discuss with you was the contents of that 4-minute presentation. There is no better place for us to have this discussion and to have started this discussion other than in El Centro. Why? Because El Centro not only are archives and has one of the best pictorial, the historical pictures of the Puerto Rican diaspora, but it is one of our great research centers, and it has turned into a convening spot for all great Puerto Rican thinkers and Puerto Rican advocates together, imagínense. And also all those in the commercial arena who are invested in the advancement of Puerto Rico and all things Puerto Rican. So I want to acknowledge you, Edwin, for moving this forward. Espérense. Last year we came, almost a year ago, we were here, and the debate was very different. We were having a debate whether we should have a congressional mandate, whether we should participate with Promesa, what were going to be the terms and conditions of Promesa, what would be the composition of Promesa, what would it mean for executive governance, what would it mean for the people on the island. All of those discussions. Fast forward, here we find ourselves in a Title III situation. Just a mere, 17 months probably, since that first conversation occurred. And what can I say? What we're facing in Puerto Rico is not only impacting Puerto Rico, it impacts every Puerto Rican family, one way or another. Either it impacts us financially, economically, it impacts us as a state, it impacts us as cities. When you start thinking about what has happened in Puerto Rico, where about 800,000 people have left in the past few years, that is an incredible feat. Today's situation, you know, Puerto Rico's insolvency is the largest local insolvency in the United States history. It's the largest one. Detroit was the largest, but Puerto Rico's is now the largest. We find ourselves with $124 billion in debt. I don't even know how many zeros that is. We find ourselves, you know, still having the obligation and the responsibility for 227,000 public employees. 1 out of every 4 persons employed in Puerto Rico is employed by the government, which means that has a pension obligations. We have an obligation to those individuals. That's our teacher, our fireman, our policeman, everyone who serves us, everyone who has been involved with us. We also find ourselves now with the crises in our schools. They keep talking about it as part of an educational reform. It's difficult to think about reform when you're thinking about survival. The one thing that is really very disturbing is the way the government has been participating, the current government has been participating with some of the members of Promesa in this very, very austere kind of approach towards Puerto Rico's solvency. In Detroit, they had a very balanced approach, and I remember, I'm old enough to remember the fiscal crises of New York when we had a financial control board. That was a very balanced approach. It wasn't just done on the backs of individuals. Today we find ourselves, our future and our immediate and maybe our long-term future in the hands of someone called Judge Swain. The promising thing about that is that if you look at her past history, she has been fair and balanced. So what is it that we're going to demand? We're going to demand, obviously, protection from creditors. That's important. The timeline for that. We have to have a balanced approach where we do not find ourselves just having our pensioners who've worked all of their lives with the expectation of being taken care of, find themselves without pensions, without care, where we have a country that already has some critical health statistics to find itself with the inability to provide health care. Washington, D.C. is not without fault in this situation. Our mere status is one contributing factor. We were stripped of the ability to file bankruptcy in 1984. No reason. Well, there were some reasons at the time, none of them made sense. And now we find ourselves, only because we have Promesa, that we could file bankruptcy. And what I'm going to say to you is thank you. Thank you for keeping the conversation alive. Please make sure that we make our voices heard and that Judge Swain knows what our conditions are and what our conditions for her and what our recommendations for her. Because we are, and they need to know, we're not 3.5 million Puerto Ricans living on the island. We are una patria extendida of 9 million people strong who live in the United States, in Puerto Rico, and around the world. And that we're citizens. We're having a discussion about that at the parade and what all the implications of that are and how we got that citizenship. But we are un pueblo con muchas voces, pero también somos valientes y somos luchadores. And I'm going to tell you, keep your wonderful intellectual discourse going, but we need to turn that into action. Le doy muchísimas gracias, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to say this afternoon.
Por lo- Buenos días. Good morning. President Rapp, Trustee Cortez Vasquez, thank you very much for your welcoming remarks. My name is Carlos Vargas. I am one of the research associates here at Centro. I will be serving as your MC this morning. Welcome to New York, for those of you who come from far and away. Is New York in the house? Yeah. All right. How about New Jersey? Woo! Okay. Florida? Yeah. All right. Illinois? Woo! Connecticut? Y Puerto Rico? All right, welcome all, and thank Washington. There you go. Anybody else that I've missed? Massachusetts. All right, D.C., Maryland, PA. There you go. Thank you all for coming from all of these places throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. Ohio. All right. Am I missing anybody else? You know, we are spread far and wide, are we not? That is one of the things that we have been doing. We have been moving away. You'll learn a little bit more about that in a few moments. I also wanted to acknowledge that, we wanted to thank you for being here today. This is Mother's Day's weekend, and, I know there is an effort to stay away for those of you who have come from away, from afar, to join us here today on a very important occasion. I believe that Trustee Cortez Vasquez framed it very nicely. So we thank you for being here this weekend, and congratulations, and thank you to all the mothers in the house. On behalf of the Centro and its staff, we like to thank all the panelists who have attended here today and who will be contributing to this conversation this morning. And to begin our program, I'd like to introduce somebody who actually doesn't need much of an introduction. I want to introduce J.W. Cortez, who is an award-winning actor, a Marine combat veteran, a singer, filmmaker, and a philanthropist. He was born and raised in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, the County of Kings. And to Puerto Rican parents, he's a champion of the arts and one of the most respected primetime Puerto Rican actors on television today. He currently plays Detective Carlos Tocayo Alvarez in the Fox 8 primetime series Gotham. Here today to welcome you to the conference, let's hear from J.W. Cortez.
Wow, buenos días. Some of you guys are like, I don't know who that guy is. Pero quiero que sepan que soy uno de ustedes, yes? Soy boricua de puro cepa, como dicen, ¿no? That's right. Mom and dad, mami de Moca Aguadilla y mami de Utuado. So me enseñaron la gloria de ser puertorriqueño y lo llevo muy dentro de mí con mucho orgullo. Everywhere I go, I tell people I'm a Puerto Rican actor who works on television. That's right. That's right. Of all the actors on primetime television, only 4% of us are actually Latino. And if that number disturbs you, it should, because in this room, I know that I represent a community that wants to see themselves represented on that television screen. So I'm not just acting for myself, I'm acting for all of us. I want to thank the beautiful people of this amazing institution for inviting me. I was just recently here a few months ago, and I'll explain to you why I was here before I leave this podium. But it's something that I've found myself wondering why I had not learned about it sooner in my adult life. But nonetheless, I know about it now, and I will continue to be an ally in all things Centro. It is truly a beautiful institution. I'm here this morning more so not just as a proud Puerto Rican man, but also as an artist who believes that art can heal lives. I can tell you that I'm a Marine combat veteran who served 13 years in the United States Marine Corps. I was in the invasion of Iraq in '03, and I served amongst many people of color, proud Latinos who wore that uniform con mucho orgullo, and never once, that's right, Semper Fi. And so I wore that uniform, and I had learned that the legacy of my service extended well past me and actually was deeply rooted in our community. My father served in Vietnam, and his uncle served in the Korean War, and we had been serving in many, many conflicts on behalf of this country. So we have earned every bit of right to be part of this nation, this American fabric. Con sangre, we have earned that right. And so I'm here as a patriot of our people because I believe that we belong. There are many, many names listed on walls all throughout Puerto Rico. If you take the time to read them, you'll see the conflicts that they have served in, and many of those names are of human beings, of Puerto Ricans who never made it back home. So I know that our stories are worth being told. So as an artist, I use those stories. I use those words. I think about their legacy and what it must have meant for them to go out there into this foreign land as a person who barely spoke the English language and was asked to give of themselves. I think those stories have gone untold for far too long. And so if I have any opportunity to tell those stories, that's what I think my duties are. And so how do I learn about these stories? Well, I listen. I think one of the biggest things that we can do as artists is to sit back and take in the words of another human being and see what they mean to us. How do they impact our souls? Why do we feel, como dicen en casa, se me paran los pelos, right? When I hear these certain stories of our ancestors. And so when I came to El Centro not that long ago, I was searching for those stories. I knew that our culture had many heroes, not the ones that shake the bombs or can sing beautifully, but I mean real heroes, people who have sacrificed everything, who never made it back home. And so I found myself incredibly thankful that I was welcomed in El Centro because I'm just a kid from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, who wanted to tell this story and learn more about my heroes. And they embraced me, and they gave me what I call a different form of ammunition. As a Marine, we have an arsenal at our disposal. As an actor, I no longer use that arsenal. I use words, stories. I want to impact human beings in a way that will leave a lasting impression once you leave the movie theater, once you leave the stage. I want you to feel like I can face this thing called life. I believe that stories are the ammunition for life. Stories give us a perspective of what life can be like when we feel there is no other alternative. And so I'm going to show you something that I haven't shown anyone in the world. You can call this the premiere of the infancy of a project that I'm working on. And it all started right here. This is me as Don Pedro Albizu Campos. So this image, obviously, I recreated through the help of El Centro, and I felt that more so now than ever, when so much of what we are facing as a community, as a people, where so much of who we are is being questioned, we need to tell our stories. And I can't think of any other human being, regardless of political affiliation, who represents what it means to go up against an imposing figure, to say that regardless of what you may say or do, you do not define who I am. So I join each and every one of you in saying that, yes, we have many challenges ahead of us, but I also say that we have many opportunities. I encourage the rest of my Hollywood counterparts, from the J-Los to the Mark Anthonys to the Benicio del Toros of the world to the Luis Guzmans, so on and so forth, to join me, this humble young kid from Sunset Park, Brooklyn, who's on a show called Gotham, to help make a difference. Use your voices. Go out there. Host a show. Teach a workshop. Get out there, get knee-deep into the things that matter most to our people. As much as we want to be entertained, we want to be led. We want real leaders. We want people to step up and lead by example, and I think more of that can be done. This month, at the very end of it, I'll be hosting the Loisaida Festival on the Lower East Side. I was there last year with Iris Chacon. We had an amazing time. And I think that this year's festival will be slightly different. I think I will bring to it something that probably may not be as joyous, although there'll be plenty of dancing and singing, I'm sure, and acapurria eating and all that good stuff. But I'm going to use that opportunity to remind people that what we discuss here in these next 2 days doesn't end here. It continues. It needs to continue via social media, via interviews, via whatever it is, tabletop discussions, as you're eating food at home. Continue these discussions, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to be at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and once again, I'll use that platform to continue the conversations that we have started here today. Esto no para, esto sigue, all the way. That's right. So with that, quiero que sepan que soy uno de ustedes. I'm one of you guys. Every time you see me on that television screen, I want you to feel a little something in your stomach and say that guy, he's one of us. You know, that's very important for you to know that. I encourage you to reach out to me. I love speaking at schools, especially to our youth. I love speaking all things Boricua, Puerto Rico, veterans, and that sort of thing. Please reach out. Please follow the Films Project. This is the infancy of this project. I need the entire community to back up this project because nobody else in Hollywood really wants to tell this story. And it's long overdue. So the film, at El Maestro Film, will across all social media fronts. You can follow us, and I promise, we will not sell out this story. We're not going to tell, yes. Even if we have to self-fund it with all of our help, we will get this movie made, and it'll be our story, and hopefully it'll be a resource for many, many future Puerto Ricans to look up to and say, that is who I am. So with that, gracias, los quiero mucho, gracias. Thank you so much. Mami, papi, who are watching, bendición. I'll see you later.